The Ekranoplane and ladies and gentlemen, box is beautiful box art. I'm going to show you something that you don't see a whole lot. You see it sometimes, but not all the time. And this is one of those where you get a box top lid, but you get a box with a lid. I mean, that's something you just don't see a whole lot. You do see it sometimes, but not prevalent. And I guess Zesvada must do this on some of their kits. Anyway, I prefer it. I actually like it. I mean, it keeps all your stuff you know, secured. Plus, you get a box top lid, and if you were a collector of box tops, I mean, that's the way to go. I mean, pitch that box and keep the lid if you want to. But anyway, that's something you don't see, and I like stuff like that. The ins and outs of model building. The Ekranoplane, and last I left off, I showed you that I was going to build it, and I did. And I mean, it's a very quick build. It didn't take too long. Not a whole lot of parts. It's just once you got it off the tree, and I did all the sub-assemblies. I mean, it just rocked and rolled. There's two things I got to mention. The turret. The turret does not spin. I went ahead and glued it down. I thought that would be problematic because the little guns are very fragile, and if you moved it, you'd probably snap it off. And I always, unless I ship something, I glued the propeller on, and I did that configuration on there. So that way nothing moves, nothing breaks, nothing falls off. There it is. So did those. Started working on the wings, starting to get them. I got one more to go and get that accomplished. The only really a couple things. There's a couple sink marks, if you can see it right there on the edge, and it's on both sides. And the only other thing that I have a complaint is right through here. It's just it fits, but it just don't fit all the way down. I've tried and tried, but anyway, I got it glued in and secured. So what I'm going to do is go in with some tulip and smooth that out, and basically do the thick paint seamless intake trick that all the airplane people do. So I'll do that. My only really other complaint, and it's with the Zesvada's kits in general, is, and I tried to save one if I can find out, because I don't know where this little part goes yet. But anyway, if you look, I wish they had a cutting point a little more, because if you tried to cut it, I mean, you can get in there, but I wish you could get more of a, you know, a little farther out than the part. That's about the only really thing I don't care for, but it is what it is. So the next couple of videos are going to be a little bit boring, and that is me sanding the seam on the Ekranoplane here, on the top and bottom, and that's pretty much really all the sanding. There ain't really no gap filling except for a little bit up in here, but other than that, just me sanding a little bit here and there each day, and we will get it done. And we're going to stick it on a universal dome base so it'll look nice and nice to display and all that good stuff. So anyway, the Ekranoplane is taking shape. King Nine. I pretty much got it mostly assembled too. It was, and it's came out in 1977. It really doesn't show its age. It's just, I have a theory, and when I say theory, Shep Payne built a B-25 derelict diorama, and I have a theory on why he did it that way. I think it's because it's got so many open hatches and everything, and it's kind of, I want to say, difficult to build in a way. I think that's why he made it the derelict, where he put the tarp on the front and everything. That's just my personal, I ain't privy to that knowledge, but that's just something I would do, and that's just what I always thought. But anyway, that's a B-25J or an H, depending on which box you want to get, because they do have both versions. I went ahead, the King 9 is actually a C, so I went ahead and filled everything with styrene. You might be able to see some of the white there. And then I went ahead and shaved everything down and filled everything with, I call it sprue putty. This is melted down sprue, and I have pretty much 3 different thicknesses. I got super thick, medium thick, and a little runny. And I use everything from, yeah, you can mess around with the thickness of it, and you'll be able to, you know, use it for different tricks. So anyway, I gooped it on, and you can mold with it and all this other stuff if you really want to do it. You can tell it's a little rough on little areas, but that's okay. We're going to sand it because the next 2 or 3 videos is probably going to be very boring, and I'll show my progress as I got to sand this down, and we'll get that sanded and smoothed out. So anyway, to make the C, I got to sand that down. There's a little dome that goes on here. It doesn't have the windows like the J and the H does, and there's a rear hump, and it don't have that either. It basically just has a clear dome on the back, and what I'm going to do is vacuum form a new dome for that, so that's no big deal. But anyway, I got to sand all that down, sand these and sand that, and it shouldn't be a sanding job, just you know, sitting down and do it. And wet sanding is the way to go, not dry sanding. So anyway, we'll be under the sink, or I'll get me a bucket of water and we'll just do it that way. But anyway, that's where I am on the King 9. So anyway, that's what I got going on today. You can see I've started working on the wings here. Getting everything clean. I just do sub-assemblies, you know, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, especially on the weekends when you have a little more time. But through the week, when you go to work, or after work, before work, you know, put together a wing, and you know, before you know it, by the end of the week, you've got almost all the parts assembled. But anyway, that's what I got going on today, so stay tuned for the next exciting episode.